Now I'm going to show you how to completely disassemble the Mini. Start off, we remove the cocker threaded barrels, or barrel rather, there's only one. Remove the ICD / ion / shocker / smart parts threaded feed neck. Then we're going to take the ball detent out. The correct Allen key, it's always good to use the square end of the Allen key on the ball detents and simply unscrew. The ball detents are a bullet and spring design, completely cleanable and rebuildable. There's one on each side of the gun. Careful when they open up not to spring out too much. There's both detents removed. Now I'm going to take off the foregrip by loosening the 2 screws inside the trigger guard. Foregrip slides off. We disassemble the foregrip by removing the screw at the bottom of the foregrip, taking the panel off without throwing it around the room. Take the battery off, disconnect the battery, and we remove the board screw. The board will come loose, then we can move that up and out through the top of the gun, through the top of the cavity. Disconnect the battery wire by pulling on the connection, not on the wires, and take the board out through the top of the gun. Okay, back to the main body. We can remove the grip panels by undoing the 4 screws that hold them in place. Turn the gun over, undo the 2 from the other side. And that's grips removed. Next we're going to take the grip frame off, so we undo the rear grip frame screw. And we also undo the front grip frame screw. That will allow us to carefully slide the grip frame down and away from the body. The trigger can be removed by punching out the trigger pin. You punch it out from this side, out through the other side. This side is knurled, and that will allow you to remove the trigger. And we can also unscrew the bottom volume chamber and gas transfer tube. Be careful, there is an O-ring on the bottom of this piece which is currently left in the bottom of the regulator. We can remove the regulator by loosening the 2 side screws at the bottom of the grip frame. And we simply loosen those out. You don't have to move them completely. And that will loosen the rail and allow the whole regulator to slide out the bottom. And the rail, when you remove the O-ring, will slide away from the regulator. Be careful not to lose that O-ring. I'm actually going to put it back onto the bottom part of the gas transfer tube. That's the rail and the regulator. That's the grip frame. Back to the body. We can unscrew the top piece of the gas transfer tube. A little bit of grease on it, so it's a little slippy. Remove the solenoid by getting hold of the connector and pulling the connector away from the board. Do not pull on the wires alone. Make sure you hold the connector. If you don't have fingernails, get a pair of long nose pliers and use those to pull it away. Simply unscrew the solenoid, 3 turns, off comes the slipstream solenoid. At this point you can push back on the bolt with your finger in the feed neck, take the bolt guide out, put your finger in, take the bolt out and the bolt spring. The bolt spring is directional, so make sure you put it back in correctly, but we'll get to that. The bolt has 2 O-rings on the back, which are both the same size, and a special O-ring slash bolt tip, which is soft, on the front. This is the bolt guide. There are 3 sealing O-rings on the front of it. There is an adjuster cap in the back and a poppet inside. And we'll take out the adjuster cap. That's the adjuster cap. And then we'll take out the poppet. You can do this by pushing an Allen key down the center and just gently pressing it out. Then that bolt guide goes to the side. This is the clever part in the valve that controls the gas flow. It has a face seal on the front, an O-ring on the back piston, and a small bleed hole that goes through the poppet. You want to make sure that this bleed hole never gets filled with dirt or gas. It's very, very important to the function of the gun. Then we have the body again. We're going to undo the manifold screws. Very simply. Okay, break them all loose to start with and then undo them. There are 7 of these. They control the manifold being nice and tight so we don't get any air leak for the gas transfer, and they also lock in at the front, holding everything flush. Take the manifold plate off and the 7 screws out of the manifold plate. Underneath there we have the sensor board. Get hold of the 2 connectors, quick connector at one end and the solenoid connector at the other end. Slide it out of the body. This has the eyes hardwired to it, the Hall effect sensor for the trigger, the connection for the solenoid, and the quick connection to the main control board on the front. Then with the body you'll see that the gasket, which allows the gas transfer from the behind the poppet to the 2 orifices which go to the bolt. Be very careful here. This rubber manifold seal should never be removed from the body, just leave it in place. And in the first transfer hole to the back of the bolt there is a small white restrictor piece. This is very important, do not lose it. It shouldn't come out too easily, but it may if you're not careful and be lost. This little piece is very important to the first stage movement of the bolt. Make sure you keep it and make sure you understand how it comes out and goes back in. That is a complete disassembly of the Mini.